so innovation happens, and
Mhm.
people who used to not be tech are suddenly like figuring out the tech.
Mhm.
And you mentioned like you could see how the future of teaching and yoga and other things is changing in the future. Anything else besides yoga in terms of wellness? Because wellness is so high touch, right? Like
Mhm.
massage, people who do lashes or hair
Right.
or facials, like this
Yeah.
whole wellness industry is so in touch.
Yeah.
And when it's good, it's really good,
Yeah.
which is kind of what the global summit, the global wellness summit I went to in Singapore was all about.
Mhm.
Like, it's like the spa industry and, all these luxury places and non-luxury places too, like much more healthy food options and things like that. But when we're not in touch,
Mhm.
it's really kind of reliant on high touch.
Right. I mean, I was just thinking about when am I going to get a massage next, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so to that, like, I wonder if some massage therapist is going to start training your spouse, your kids, how to massage.
Mm.
And then for the people that live alone, I was just, as you were talking to me, like, well, you could lay on a tennis ball, you could use like a bolster,
Mhm.
and like waxing at home, cutting your hair.
Interviewed someone yesterday. She's like, I'm going to do an interview on how to trim your bangs. Because she's
Right.
like, I could teach people that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it might come to that, like, I can't inject Botox, but nor would I want to, but it's like, I got myself a face roller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if there was a question in there, but definitely things are changing.
Hmm.
I think some things might change for the better. Not everybody
Yeah.
needs some of the things maybe they're doing,
Yeah.
and to learn how to love yourself as you are.
Well, there were two sides of this. So this one person I was interviewing, she does hair, and she's like, I know, like she thinks of it more as just a functional thing, like it's a self-care, like she's
Mhm.
caring for people in a way that they may not get any other way.
Mhm.
And when people feel good about how they look, they feel good about themselves.
Yep.
And it was just really lovely that she sees her work like that. Any silver linings for you?
Well, I think everything we're sort of discussing, just the way I can connect with more people potentially, whether I'm getting paid to do it or not. I really love teaching. So for me, I can text my friends in California and say, I'm teaching, join me. Like that would
Yeah.
never happen.
Yeah.
My daughter in another state, my friends in other states. And the way the community, I feel like, is trying to support each other. And I guess just the blessing of figuring out new ways to be in your own space. Like I never
Hmm.
thought this could be a yoga room, or I never
Hmm.
thought I could meditate here. Um, and then the other part to silver lining with at least where yoga and mindfulness is really practicing pratyahara. I
Hmm.
can hear my refrigerator. I can hear I think about you like that's the universal sound of Om, right?
Hmm.
Like the
Hmm.
hum of your house. So little things like that come up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. One thing I'll just share with you, I've been doing probably like 8 interviews so far, and I have a lot more scheduled this week. People who are healers, teachers, practitioners of yoga, like there is so much positivity, and like it's like we've learned to shift our brain anyways, you
mhm,
know?
right.
And I purposely limit my intake of news, and people like talk about, chaos and uncertainty. And I'm like, gosh, in my community it's not like that. And
Mhm.
almost every one of the practitioners, healers that I've talked to has brought up something new that I didn't
Mm,
even think of, that like, oh my
mhm,
gosh, that's so great. Like, we're cooking our own food.
mhm.
Like, how good is that?
Right,
Someone said, the earth is actually breathing because we're not driving.
right, right.
So many,
Like
so
those
many
things I
like
keep seeing the same.
insights that
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, this is a very special community.
And you know Rama, right?
I
Uh,
don't know her personally, but I know
okay.
her.
So she's one of my teachers too, and I come back to her a lot now and before, like when Trump became president, for example, when he was, and I think my DF shared this with you, but she said, there's a reason he's here. We have to really let the dirt and the ugliness be revealed, because without seeing it, we can't get rid of it. And she's wholeheartedly believing in the vibration is raising. And this is part of that process, this ugliness. And so this virus, she shared a beautiful thing I can email to you. She shared a journal page of hers, and it was all about the coronavirus. It's a crown, like it's a crown. And it's forcing us to be leaders. It's forcing us to be kings and queens for each other. And like the people that don't have food, that don't have medical care, we've talked about it a lot. And now we can see what's wrong with that. And so this virus is forcing us to collectively really be a human race, really take care of each other, and really look at how we're not and how we're failing, no matter where you live. And so that carries me.
Well, it's so great to see your smile and hear your positivity, because I think it's amazing. No one's talking about the optimism, the generosity that's coming out. I mean, some people are talking about like, oh, people are really rising to the occasion. But the things that I've been hearing are so super specific to, this healing community, which says so much about, how yoga works. Like, it's not just like, I could do this pose, but here people are rising way, way above,
Right. Even for me personally, like when I was being filmed at Laura's studio, which is the one that's being loaded up onto the Reach YouTube, the way I ended my class just welled me up. Like I was just wanting people to feel love for themselves and just send it out. And just the message that when I know I'm reaching a larger community, that responsibility for me, I feel like I need and I want to really encourage people to just like open up and feel it, receive and release. And different than in just a regular class, you're only tapping into those people. And so this global idea really is what we talk about in class. Send this beyond these walls.
Now more than ever.
And now we are, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we are without walls, right?
Yeah.
So, when I teach at least, and I say things like, starts with you, send it out, imagine there's no walls, imagine there's no ceiling. And so really I have a responsibility, I feel like, to just remind us of that connection. So, and I don't, it's not a burden for me. Like I would do that anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks to you. And, and so it's just, makes me feel better to encourage that in others.
Yeah. And like I'm saying, like, I don't think that story is as out as it should be and could be. So that's why I'm writing this one.
I'm so glad.